Bhagavati Vasudevaya Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I would like to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Today is day of disappearance of Ishwara Puri, a very special personality, and wanted to seek everybody's good wishes and blessings so that we can also get the blessings of this wonderful personality. So who is he? Anybody like to tell me who he is?
I think is it the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Yes, that sums it up very nicely. Yes, that's what he's most famous for. Very good. So, beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhattavin,
Ishwara Puri Gosai, Kare Shripada Sevana, Swahaste Karena Mala Mutradi Marjana. Ishwara Puri, the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, performed service to Madhavendra Puri, cleaning up his stool and urine with his own hand.
So he's an amazing personality. He was the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri is regarded to be an extremely highly elevated personality who introduced the worship of Radha and Krishna into this sampradaya. So very elevated soul. And he was also this. Anybody else remember who Madhavendra Puri was the guru of? He was guru of Ishwara Puri, but somebody else as well. Anybody remember? Very important personality in Gaura Leela. I'll give you a hint. Okay, two more then. Sorry? Yes, Riyaj?
I think Gadadhar.
Gadadhar, he's saying.
Gadadhar. Actually, no. Ishwara Puri was very close to Gadadhar. But Madhavendra Puri was also spiritual master of Advaitacharya. And wasn't he also spiritual master of Lord Nityananda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think he was,
We'll find out.
Because it was Lakshmipati who took...
Yes, Ma. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Lakshmipati, but then he was disciple of Lakshmipati and he gave initiation to Nityananda.
Prabhuji means Lakshmipati Tirtha is sannyasa guru of Sri Chaitanya Sri Nityananda Mahaprabhu.
I think it was Madhavendra Puri who gave initiation to Nityananda. But anyway, let's have a look. See if we've got it.
I think it comes.
Okay.
No, Prabhuji, I am asking. He means is Lakshmipati Tirtha the sannyasi guru of Nityananda Mahaprabhu?
I'm not sure if he's sannyasi guru, but he definitely took Nityananda with him on Tirth Yatra. So he's like a young boy. Like a Shiksha Guru. Very important. So let's have a start anyway. Ishwara Puri was born in the town of Kumarahata on the full moon day of the month of Jesht to a family of Brahmins hailing from Raha. The town is also important for Gaudiya Vaishnavas because Srivas Pandit and his brothers moved here after Mahaprabhu took sannyas, because they were unable to tolerate all the painful reminders of him in Navadvip. Ishwara Puri's birthplace is popularly known as by the name of Chaitanya Doba. Doba means pool of water. When Mahaprabhu passed through Kumarahata on his way to Puri, he showed respect for his spiritual master by picking up some earth from the place of his birth, wrapping it in his cloth and taking it with him. So this is the Doba. So
I think it is a spiritual place than the holy waters.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Mahaprabhu himself demonstrated by coming here and taking the dust from the ground. Thousands of pilgrims have since followed his example, thus forming a pit that has since been filled with water.
So before it wasn't a pond, it was just earth.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Ishwara Puri is a sannyas name. Though his name prior to taking sannyas is not known, his father's name was Shyamasundar Acharya. Ishwara Puri took initiation from Madhavendra Puri, the embodiment of nectarian devotional love. Madhavendra Puri was pleased with Ishwara Puri's guileless, sincere and affectionate service, and thus showered him with blessings, so that he too became immersed in the ocean of love for Krishna. If a disciple can satisfy his spiritual master, then he will be very fortunate and attain all auspiciousness and fulfillment of all his desires. On the other hand, if the guru is unhappy with the disciple, then he will only know. Let's see what that says. Oops. Inauspiciousness. Okay. So there's a very good pastime here. Not a good pastime, actually. It's an instructive pastime. There was another disciple of Madhavendra Puri. His name was, what was his name? Oh, Krishna. Ramachandra Puri. I think it was Ramachandra Puri. Is that right? Ramachandra Puri. So at the end, Madhavendra Puri, he was reciting some slokas and he was crying. This was towards the end of his pastimes in this planet. At that time, Ishwara Puri would serve him with great attention. But this Ramachandra Puri, he started saying to his spiritual master, you shouldn't cry. No, you should just think about the impersonal form of the Lord. And Madhavendra Puri got so angry with him that he told him to go away. And that Ramachandra Puri later on became very offensive actually to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He would find fault in anything and everyone. And he even found fault with the Lord himself. So that's what happens when we offend the Guru, offend Vaishnavas. Krishna doesn't become happy. It brings a lot of inauspiciousness. So we have to be careful in our dealings. So Mahaprabhu, he took initiation from Ishwara Puri. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has no need for any teacher. Even so, he wishes to teach the world that it's absolutely necessary to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. For this reason, he played the role of a disciple by taking initiation from Ishwara Puri when he met him at Gaya. This in itself shows beyond a doubt Ishwara Puri's greatness and importance. So, Lord doesn't just take initiation from any ordinary person. The Lord went to Gaya where he met Ishwara Puri. After taking initiation from him, he started to display the signs of love of Godhead. And when he returned to Navadvip, he began to engage in pastimes of divine love. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, 17, chapter 8 and 9 verse. So this is Ishwara Puri consoling Mahaprabhu. Because what happened after the initiation, Mahaprabhu was completely in ecstasy. He would chant the names of the Lord and just weep, show great aesthetic signs. And he asked Ishwara Puri, what sort of mantra have you given me? What sort of mantra? What have you done to me? I've become mad. And then Ishwara Puri would console him. This is ecstatic symptoms of love of Godhead. And you are the Supreme Lord anyway. So stop pretending. So Ishwara Puri was very much aware of the position of Chaitanya. When they met, Mahaprabhu and Ishwara Puri were overcome by the ecstasy of love and drenched each other in tears of prema that fell from their eyes. The Lord said, "My pilgrimage to Gaya is successful, for today I have seen your lotus feet. When one makes the pinned offerings to the ancestors at a holy place, then that ancestor is delivered." So what happened? His father, Jagannath Mishra, left. And on that pretext, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gaya to perform the Pindan ceremony. So if somebody says Pindan ceremony isn't important, I think we can give the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even the Lord did it for his father and ancestors. Simply by seeing you, 10 million ancestors are delivered from all forms of bondage in a single moment. Therefore, no holy place is your equal, and you are the primary source of auspiciousness for even the holy places. Please lift me up from the ocean of material suffering. I offer this body to your service. The only gift I ask of you is that you give me the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet to drink. So this is from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Very interesting how Mahaprabhu surrenders himself to Ishwara Puri. Very, very nice. Mahaprabhu was acting the role of an ordinary mortal, a pilgrim who had come to Gaya to offer the Shraddha oblations for his deceased father. On the day that he performed these rituals, he returned to his room and began to cook. When Ishwara Puri came and placed his lotus feet in Mahaprabhu's room, Mahaprabhu personally served him the rice and vegetables that he himself had cooked with great satisfaction. In so doing, Mahaprabhu demonstrated most perfectly how to serve the Guru. This is really unique. Must be probably the only incarnation that cooked for his own spiritual master. Very interesting, huh? So, yes, Nanivan.
Ishwara Puri must be such a great person to have such a service from Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself.
Krishna himself.
Wow.
Incredible.
Unimaginable.
It is. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. And he must, I don't know, I can't remember if we've got it here, but Ishwara Puri must be, was it Ved Vyas then? Or no, Sandipani Muni. Must be Sandipani Muni.
There's nothing in here.
Yeah, Sandipani.
That makes sense.
Horrible. I was just about to ask if he was Sandipani Muni.
Yeah.
Because a very elevated soul, isn't he?
Yeah. No, Sandipani Muni was apparently Keshava Bharti.
Oh, okay.
So this must be Garga Muni then. Was one of the Munis. Let's have Garga. Yeah, maybe Garga Muni. Maybe Garga Muni. So before they met in Gaya, Ishwara Puri had met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, even prior to meeting in Gaya. And Ishwara Puri met Advaita, and of course, who was his spiritual master. Oh, no. Sorry, godbrother, yeah. Because Madhavendra Puri's disciple was Advaita. So they were godbrothers, and they were very close. Vrindavan Das Thakur had described this meeting in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Ishwara Puri, in his travels to various holy places, once came to Sri Dham Navadvip, where he stayed in the house of Gopinath Acharya. At that time, Nimai Pandit was absorbed in these pastimes of learning. So he was, at that time, he was young, and he was argumentative. He used to cause a lot of disputes, and he used to play some really funny jokes on the Brahmins who were bathing in the Ganga, for example. So he's very naughty at that time. But even then, at that time, he had a lot of regard for Ishwara Puri. Ishwara Puri entered Nadia Nagar in disguise, and thus no one could understand who he really was. That noble-minded gentleman was always absorbed in the mellows of devotion to Krishna. He was thus extremely dear to Sri Krishna, and he was an ocean of mercy. No one, however, could recognize him by his dress. By the will of fate, he came to Advaitacharya's house. He came to where Advaita was engaged in worshipping Krishna and quietly sat down there. By his divine luster, one Vaishnava cannot remain hidden from another. Advaitacharya began to look in his direction again and again. Finally he asked him, "Bab, who are you? I have a feeling that you are a Vaishnava sannyasi." Ishwara Puri very humbly replied, "I am a Shudra, come to view your lotus feet." Mukunda Dutt, who was also present, could understand that this is a Vaishnava sannyasi, and he contrived to expose him. In his sweet voice, he began a kirtan describing Krishna's pastimes. When Ishwara Puri heard that kirtan, he at once fell to the ground, and the earth beneath him became wet with his tears. The devotees present were dumbstruck. "We haven't seen a Vaishnava like this before." Advaitacharya very firmly embraced him. Now everybody could understand this is Madhavendra Puri's dearmost disciple, Ishwara Puri. Loud shouts of Hari, Hari rose up in the air. Ishwara Puri remained in Navadvip for some days. One day when Nimai Pandit was returning home from the school, he happened to, by chance, to meet Ishwara Puri on the way. Ishwara Puri was as though mesmerized when looking at the son of Sachi, and thought to himself, he has all the indications of being a divine personage and appears very grave indeed. Ishwara Puri inquired, "Oh Viprabol Puri, may I know your name? Where do you live? What is that manuscript in your hand?" Mahaprabhu very humbly offered his namaskar, which was very unusual. Usually Mahaprabhu would be very naughty. But he recognized Ishwara Puri. Some of his disciples replied, "His name is Nimai Pandit," explaining, "You are." And so Ishwara Puri said, "You are the famous Nimai Pandit." Oh yeah. Oops. Ishwara Puri felt very happy to meet him. Mahaprabhu, coming forward and bowing his head, humbly requested, "Shripad, please come with me to my house and be my guest for lunch." Ishwara Puri thought to himself, what a pleasant demeanor he has. As though charmed by some mantra, he quietly came along with the Pandit to his house. Arriving there, Mahaprabhu personally washed his feet while in the deity room. Sachimata offered the various preparations that she had prepared to the Lord. Then Mahaprabhu served that prasad to Ishwara Puri and afterwards accepted his remnants. Wow. Thereafter, they sat in the temple, the Vishnu Gara, and discussed Krishna Katha, by which they both became filled with ecstatic love. So Ishwara Puri also met Gadadhar Pandit. So they were very close and was pleased when he saw the depth of his renunciation. He started to affectionately give him lessons from the Krishna Lilamrit, a book that he himself has written. Nimai would also come daily to Gopinath Acharya's house to visit Ishwara Puri, where he was teaching Gadadhar, and offered him his obeisances. One day, Ishwara Puri asked Nimai to correct any mistakes that were in his book. Nimai answered. So this is a really amazing answer, actually. Anyone who finds any fault with a devotee's description of Krishna is a sinner. If a devotee writes a poem, no matter how poorly he does it, it will certainly contain his love for Krishna. A fool says Vishnaya, while a scholar knows the correct form is Vishnave. But Krishna accepts the sentiment in either case. So sometimes we get it wrong, right? Even to say Krishna's name sometimes is a little hard. But Krishna knows the intention behind what has been spoken. So even if our pronunciation is not correct, we should not worry too much. The point is making the effort. If anyone sees a fault in this, the fault is his. For Krishna is pleased with anything the pure devotee says. You too describe the Lord with words of love. So what arrogant person would dare criticize anything you have written? So this is from the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So very important instruction. To Ishwara Puri, these words were like drops of nectar, and he could understand that Nimai Pandit was an extraordinary person. After passing some days in Nadia, Ishwara Puri continued his tour of the holy places. Meanwhile, Mahaprabhu was bringing his pastimes of learning to a close and now desired to reveal his true self and establish the religion of the age by distributing love of Godhead through the chanting of the holy names. So this is where, again, we come to his pastime. He came to Gaya ostensibly to offer pindan for his departed father and forefathers. Ishwara Puri was present at that time at Gaya. After having offered pind at various holy shrines, he finally came to the place where the lotus footprints of Sri Vishnu are. So this is a really incredible temple. I don't know if anybody's been there, but oh yes, Riyansh. Yes.
Prabhuji, after you told the story, can I tell it?
Sure.
Can I tell short story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Sure, you can. Okay. Thank you so much. So this temple is on top of the hill. In Gaya is a very small place. Has anybody been there? It's a pretty small town. And there's a big hill. You walk up the hill and there's
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah, there's loads of little bhojanayas, loads of little rooms that people sleep. And then at the top, there's the Vishnu, what do they call it? The Vishnu temple. There was a special name for it. And in that Vishnu temple, surrounded, well, not surrounded, but on one side is the Falgu River. So then in that temple is actually the footprint of Lord Vishnu. And every evening, the pujaris there make with chandan, they outline the lotus feet of the Lord. It's really very interesting. And somewhere we had a cloth, a cloth painting of that. And what they do is they place the cloth on top of the and they give that as a donation or for a donation. Mm.
Yes, Riyansh.
Your internet is not so good, huh? While taking darshan, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you? I want to tell a story now only.
Now only? I haven't got long. I know there's not much left, so you can do it in a couple of minutes, huh? While taking darshan and hearing of the glories of Mahaprabhu,
of the shrine,
Mahaprabhu fainted and he fell to the ground. By the arrangement of Providence, Ishwara Puri happened to come to that spot just then and learned from Chandrasekhar Acharya what had transpired. After a short time, Mahaprabhu regained his consciousness, and seeing Ishwara Puri, he got up to offer his obeisances. Ishwara Puri embraced him, and the two of them were drenched by each other's tears of love. And Mahaprabhu addressed Ishwara Puri, "My journey to Gaya is successful just by seeing your lotus feet." So we've done this already. If one offers pinned at this holy place, his forefathers become delivered. But simply by seeing you, 10 million forefathers get liberated within a moment. Therefore, your presence is even more auspicious than that of the holy Tirth. All the holy Tirths pray for the dust of your lotus feet. Therefore, O Ishwara Puri, I am praying at your lotus feet to ferry me across the ocean of material existence and cause me to drink the nectar from the lotus feet of the Lord. And Ishwara Puri, he replied, please hear me. I have understood you are an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. This morning I saw a very auspicious dream, and now that has actually materialized. From the first day I saw you at Navadvip, I have always thought of you. I get such pleasure by seeing you, as much pleasure as I get by seeing Krishna. So, really interesting. Hearing this, Mahaprabhu bowed his head and smilingly replied, this is my great fortune. On another day, Mahaprabhu approached Ishwara Puri and requested that he initiate him with the divine mantra. My mind is becoming restless in anticipation of this initiation. Ishwara Puri very blissfully replied, what to speak of mantras? I am prepared to offer you my very life. Thereafter, Ishwara Puri initiated Mahaprabhu with the divine mantra. One morning, Ishwara Puri came to where Mahaprabhu was staying. He was very pleased to see him, and we've talked through this before. He cooked and he fed Ishwara Puri with his own hands. It's incredible. He replied that being able to accept foodstuffs from your hand is a matter of great fortune for me. Afterwards, he smeared sandalwood paste on his body and put a garland of flowers around his neck. Thus, Supreme Lord himself taught how one should serve his guru. Without serving the great devotees, it is not possible to receive love of Godhead. Service to the guru is the door to devotion. So on return from Gaya, Mahaprabhu came through Kumarahat, the birthplace of Ishwara Puri, and he rolled on the ground in ecstasy. And he collected some dust, as we already talked about. This dust is as dear to me as my life. And then he later on took sannyas, and by the order of his mother, he went to Puri. And in Puri, Ishwara Puri, he sent two disciples because he'd already left. He'd instructed Govind Prabhu and Kashi Ishwar to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu didn't want their service because they were on an equal level to him. But because Ishwara Puri had ordered them, he accepted Govind Prabhu and Kashishwar. The best, Bhaktisiddhanta has written, best of sannyasis, Madhavendra Puri had as his foremost disciple, Ishwara Puri, Nityananda, and the great Advaita. In order to honor Ishwara Puri, Mahaprabhu, the guru of the whole world, accepted him as spiritual master. So that's the end. Any questions, any comments? Otherwise, we can ask Riyansh. Oh, he's not there.
What was the, Prabhuji, what age was when Ishwara Puri passed away, left for the Dipa?
There's no information. Yeah. I couldn't find any information.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not that much about Ishwara Puri.
So, I mean, Mahaprabhu went to Puri when he took sannyas.
1500.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I would be speculating.
Obviously, he was unmarried. He remained unmarried.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Do we know?
Yeah. There's nothing. There's no information about his life, and it apart
very
from,
little.
Yeah, apart from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interaction with him.
Chaitanya Prabhu also had no children, though he was married twice.
Who was that?
Did he have any children, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
No.
That's right. But he adopted the whole world, right?
Definitely. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you, Nariman. Anybody else? Yes, come on.
Haribol. You know, when you were describing, and as you were saying, he was naughty. He was naughty. You could feel that part of Krishna's pastime were coming out of him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Well,
the way Krishna was in his time. Mahaprabhu was doing what Krishna would have done as well. Thank you.
Yeah, because when he used to go to Ganga and all the girls that were bathing or doing a puja to Shiva, he used to say, you know, do puja to me. You know, I am your Lord, not Shiva. Like just like Krishna would.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay. Let's we got a bit of time. Do you Karuna, do you want to make a start or just give us a little taster of what you're planning to do?
Yes.
Okay, you can share the screen.
Okay.
So
I'm going to do it.
Chitra, yeah. So next Monday we're starting 7th canto, that's for sure. I've had a bit of success today. So tomorrow is Shivratri, and in the afternoon we were going to talk about Lord Shiva, Shiva Tattva. Evening we were planning to do Abhishek of Lord Shiva.
Small Abhishek, no.
Small Abhishek. And Friday we will go through what Chitra is showing us today. And it's a little bit of revision of the Bhagavatam through pictures, I think.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. When we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we are sitting in his divine presence, hearing and speaking. When we follow what is in the books, we get realizations. So I thought that this picture is nice with the sayings on it, so that we can really get the importance of reading Srimad Bhagavatam and studying Srimad Bhagavatam and following what the instructions of Srila Prabhupada.
That's good.
Chapter 1. So we are going to ask anyone to guess about the title of the chapter. The summary.
Questions about?
Yes. The sages perform 1,000-year sacrifice in Naimisharanya. After that, they asked Sutta Goswami 6 questions.
Questions by the sages, yeah. Interesting picture.
So the second chapter is Srila Sutta Goswami offers his respectful obeisances unto the great sage Sukdev Goswami.
So what is the name of the second chapter?
Then he attempts to answer the 6 questions of sages of Naimisharanya that he considered worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2.
Is the name? Anybody saying, is it creation? Maybe answers by the sages.
No, it's not answers.
Go on then. Let's have a look. Divinity and divine. Yeah, not far away, Naliben. Chapter 2. No.
We have included some of the important verses that we recite.
Oh, good, good.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiriye. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasdev, the author. Nave pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradokshage ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation, dharma of all humanity, is that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and
I don't know when I'm going yet. So.
and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So this verse I remember very well. Guru Maharaj did a long lecture on that, and he asked us to learn it by heart.
Okay, yeah. Very important verse. He loved this verse.
Verse 18. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shoke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in courses on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So here also we have the very importance of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, yeah.
Page 28 and 29. Vasudeva Paraveda, Vasudeva Paramakha, Vasudeva Parayoga, Vasudeva Parakriya, Vasudeva Param Jnanam, Vasudeva Param Tapa, Vasudeva Parodharmo, Vasudeva Paragati. Translation. In the revealed scriptures, the ultimate object of knowledge is Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The purpose of performing sacrifice is to please Him. Yoga is for realizing Him. All creative activities are ultimately rewarded by Him only. He is supreme knowledge, and all severe austerities are performed to know Him. Religion, dharma, is rendering loving service unto Him. He is the supreme goal of life. Another important verse again, 2 verses. Bhavyatye esha sadveda lokan vailoka bhavana leelaavatarana rupro devateyannaradishu. Translation. Thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mood of true goodness. Canto 1, Chapter 3. Sutta Goswami explains the origins of the universe and the different forms of Krishna. Anyone can guess the title of the chapter?
It's all the different incarnations, aren't they?
Does of that?
It's more like 24 with us.
Yeah, I meant that. Sorry.
Krishna is the source, right? Krishna is Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Yeah. Okay.
This one I couldn't get all the important verses, so I had only one slide on it.
That's good.
Chapter 4.
No.
Sanaka Rishi asked Suta Goswami 7 more questions. This one is an easy one.
The sage is an Naimisharanya. Oh, parents of Narad. Okay. Fair enough.
Sanaka Rishi asked Suta Goswami to relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful sage Sukadev Goswami. He then related the following incident showing the purity of Sukadev Goswami. Drijvanyuyatam Rishim Atmajam Apyanagnam Devyo Harya Vedhatur Nasur Yasya Chitram Tadvikshya Prichatatino Jagat Dustapasti Chikum Vidana Kunsutasya Vivikta Drishte. Translation. While Sri Vyasadeva was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked covered their bodies with cloth, although Sri Vyasadeva himself was not naked. But they had not done so when his son had posed. The sage inquired about this, and the young ladies replied that his son was purified, and when looking at them, he made no distinction between male and female, but the sage made such distinctions. Suta Goswami explains how the great sage Vyasadeva saw anomalies in the duties of the millennium. Vyasadeva divided the Puranas and wrote the Mahabharata, but he felt dissatisfied. Then Narad Muni appeared in front of Srila Vyasadeva. Chapter 5. Narad Muni asked Srila Vyasadeva what was his cause of despondence. In spite of writing the Mahabharata and dividing the Vedas, and having fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman, as well as the knowledge derived therefrom. So any guess for the 5th chapter?
Vyasadev's despondency.
No.
Narad Muni's instruction, no?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Sri Narad Muni then told Srila Vyasadeva that he hasn't really broadcasted the sublime and spotless glories of Lord Krishna. That philosophy which doesn't satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord are worthless. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Then he described his story of how he was a son of a maidservant who was engaged in service of Brahmanas, Once by their permission, he took the remnants of their food, and by doing so, he was eradicated for all his sins. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste for the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental. By hearing the great souls, sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of Lord Hari, Srinaraji's coverings of modes of passion and ignorance vanished by devotional service. He says, whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called Bhakti Yoga, or transcendental loving service to the Lord, and what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Chapter 6. Narad Muni narrates to Vyasadeva about his life after the departure of the sages, who instructed him about scientific transcendental knowledge. After his mother's death when he was only 5 years old, he went in the forest and started to meditate. Anyone can guess the title of the chapter?
No.
Give us a hint.
Instructions? No.
Between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. Conversation between Narad and Vyasadeva. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared on the lotus of his heart, but he vanishes very quickly. The Lord then instructs Narad to be engaged in devotional service to the Absolute Truth. Narad Muni thus began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord of benedictory, so doing, I travelled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious. Text 26. Until he met death and was awarded a transcendental body. At the end of the millennium, at the time of devastation, Brahma, along with all creative elements, and Narad Muni, entered in the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, through his breathing. Text 29. And after 4,300,000,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again, by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and Narad Muni also appeared along with them. Text 30. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you. Very thorough.
Sorry if you have made any mistakes because you did it quite quickly.
No, it's good. Yes, good. Any questions? Any comments?
So we are discussing this on Friday, are we?
Friday. What's the plan on Friday, Chitra? Or
We'll try to complete the Canto one because it takes time.
We never
It
realize
takes
that.
time. Yeah, it takes time.